Hey, welcome back. My name is Jackie. Today we're doing something fun. I have finally been getting back into estate sale shopping, which obviously they were closed for a long time, and so I was so excited to go back. A little nervous, but now that I've been a few times, I feel very comfortable going to the companies I go to. I wanted to show you a haul of what I've been picking up, and these are just the type of items that I love to sell in my Poshmark and eBay shops. I am GOODYSTASH over on Posh, pretty much everywhere else. That's my company. I thought it would be fun to show you the types of items that I enjoy picking up and the types of stuff that I find pretty regularly. So if you're interested in that, let's get started. Hopefully these will be in focus. The first piece I picked up was just this Under Armour half zip pullover. Let me show you why I like it. Can you see the subtle herringbone print on that? And I actually got this for myself because this is the type of thing I love working in, but I would also sell it, but I picked it up for myself. It didn't fit my post-quarantine body, so that is going to go up on my eBay shop. Okay, next we have this logo by Lori Goldstein. I'm not that familiar with this brand. Here's the logo. But why I like it, I basically shop based off of style. And let me get the bottom. Okay. I just love that lace ruffled hem on it. And it just felt really good when I grabbed it. So we've got that little guy. Next up we have one I already kind of messed around with. I picked this up for the fabric and then I turned it into a pillow sham. And then I just love the little tie detailing on the front, and I just like the print. So I made two of those, and we'll see how those do. This is kind of a funny one. Funny, fun, It's a very over-the-top faux fur. But I just couldn't leave it. I don't know why. Sometimes I get home and I'm like, why did you need to bring that back? But I did it. No regrets. Okay, I remember why I got this one, but here's why I got it. You see that? If anything is in really good condition, and I think it's a style I can sell, and it has that union made label in it, that's a sign that it's from this tag. I do research on the union label tags, and if I remember right, this is from around the 70s, possibly the 80s, but there's a website called the Vintage Fashion Guild. I'll pop that up on the screen. And basically, it goes over the label history of tags, and one of the ones that you can look up is, if you type in the letters ILGWU, which is the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, then that'll pull up the history of these labels. And a lot of people like these vintage items that are union made, especially in the case of this one, because it doesn't have any damages and it's in really nice condition. And a lot of people don't want to wear real fur anymore, understandably so. There's a lot of vegans and such. So if it's in good condition, and I think somebody will wear it, so that's why I grabbed this one. Okay, the next one I got is this. It's Sherpa lined, and it's 100% wool, and it has suede exterior. And I think it's vintage, but I have to look into it. It might not be. And then let me show you the tag. Abercrombie & Fitch, it's not typically a brand I would pick up, but the style, I just couldn't leave it behind. It's so warm, it's so cozy, it's just, I don't know, it called out to me. So, and even the shoulder detailing It's the reason I think it's vintage is because it's marked a size 12, but I put it on and it runs small for a size 12. So it's either a kid size 12, which wouldn't make sense because then I wouldn't fit in it. So I think it's a vintage and that's why the sizing is smaller. A lot of vintage sizing runs smaller, but it's just so nice. So really quick, this is me looking up the label history just to see that, okay, that matches my label. Boom, it's from the 80s. This is a beautiful coat for the really cold weather. Next up, we have this little like wicker basket thing, and it has the faux leather straps. And let me show you. Empty on the inside. Sometimes I pick these up and they have like picnic sets on the inside, but I think a lot of people like these just for decor purposes because these do pretty well for me over on eBay. I don't typically list these on Poshmark, but if they're in good condition and they're vintage, I pick these up if the price is right. Okay, next up we have this little bitty frame, and it feels really good. The quality feels good on it. And can you see the detailing? That's why I got it. I'm actually going to redo this. I'm starting a series on my channel called Reject Revival, where I take these type of items, discarded materials, and I rescue, reimagine, and repurpose them into something else. I'm going to title those Reject Revival so that anybody that's interested in watching that sort of upcycle type repurposing videos, you'll know where to catch these. And this is going to be one of those projects. Okay, I got a few more for that same purpose, so I will go ahead and just show them all to you now. This one, it's heavy, it's metal. I don't know what kind of metal, but it's got the little, oh, I thought it was a pin, some sort of tool in there. But I'm going to redo this one. And this is another one that I'm going to redo. I've already gotten it clean. You can tell I'm kind of partial to like that. I think this kind of falls into old school, like Hollywood Regency style decor. I love that sort of decor. It's very artistic, very, I don't know, just like extra, I guess, basically. So I haven't decided if I'm keeping this one or going to sell it, but either way, I'm going to redo it before. This is probably just going to get a new paint job, different color. This one, I posted as is, but if it doesn't sell, I'm also going to redo this one. And I'm tempted to keep this one, so I listed it kind of high, which that's kind of a bad habit of mine. I should try not to do that, but you know, sometimes you're just kind of undecided. Do I want to keep this? Do I want to sell it? You list it high. If somebody takes it, okay. If not, it might get pulled back out. So this one, it's just really cool. Okay, my thing cut me off, so let me show you this. It has a marble base, which I love. I love the little cherub, or however you say that. I love these angelic type figurines. And he's riding a koi fish, which I just think is fun and eccentric. And it has the diamond glass top. And I'm imagining this top portion repainted in a different color and leaving the marble base. But I have it listed as is if somebody wants it like it is. And we'll just see. Okay, next I kind of have a horde of these going. Hopefully you can see me. I've gotten into... I sound like a fucking hoarder. I've like started all these hobbies in the pandemic. Yeah, that's like a coping skill of mine. I don't do all these hobbies just because like I'm super productive person. No, like I'm drowning over here. I'm doing these hobbies because it's like I need that little escape from reality, like that little creative escape. And finding that in the pandemic, I've just had to get a little creative. That's all. So I started making tassels. I know that sounds weird. So this is supplying my tassel habit. and I love the colors on these. Look at how much. And then I like the textures on these. And some of them you'll see the price like $3 for this. I feel like that's a bit much, but it was half off day, so it was $1.50, which I don't mind. And oh man, I'm making a mess. But I just like the texture on those ones, so I did pay a little more on those. And then these were like insanely inexpensive. They were, I want to say 38 cents for a big ass thing like that. Crazy. So I literally have an entire bin in my garage full of yarn to make tassels with. So yeah, that's a little hoardy. So yeah. Okay, now on the anti-hoarding note, whenever I bring in a lot of crafting type things, I make myself kind of get rid of something that I'm not really using. And so this fabric I got from that interior design store. It's really nice quality, and I'll kind of zoom in so you can see. It's tapestry fabric, and when I bought it, I actually bought it because I liked this side better. I was going to use it as like a gigantic tote bag, but then when I realized that was the interior and I kind of saw that, I was like, okay, well, this side looks so much better, but this doesn't really like match the style I was going for. So I had a large amount of this. I had 4 or 5 yards, I'll have to check, but yeah, and it's really wide too, and it's just a nice designer upholstery tapestry fabric. So hopefully another crafter will find this and be able to appreciate it, and I can lighten my hoard a bit. Okay, on the fabric note, I have a few more fabrics to show you, and I'll show you pretty quickly, and then we'll get into a few more clothing pieces, and that'll wrap it up for this. Okay, so can you see that? Look at the texture. Oh, I love the texture. I love the texture on this. So it's just like this ivory white, but the texture is really gorgeous. And this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Like, if I would go to the crafting store and buy this amount of fabric and has the fringe already attached, I don't know what they would charge me, but I know it will be more than $1, which is what I got this for. I can use this to make stockings. I can use it to make, or I could do like throw pillows and then add like little accents or whatnot. So yeah, I like how minimal it is, but it has like that pop of texture. And I was talking about Christmas stockings, not like the kind for your legs. We have this one. And this one is too big for me to open up. It's basically like the size of a bedspread for, I paid $3 for this. I don't think it's coming across, but it's just like that kind of, it just like reminds me of fall and winter, but in kind of an untraditional way, which is like the same with the stockings. I don't see a lot of white like knit stockings, but I just love that kind of winter wonderland vibe. And for this, I'll show you what I was trying to make with these. I didn't come up with the idea. It was like a DIY YouTuber does, like, she was showing us how to make like these fabric pumpkins, and I don't personally like how this was headed, and this is a great example of why it's great to get these sort of things either at the thrift store or at an estate sale, because it didn't turn out so good, right? And at least I didn't waste hardly any money on fabric. I've got an overabundance of it, so I can scrap this idea, maybe make a cool like winter poncho or something out of the rest of it. But I know me, and I have a lot of mess ups, and so it's just a lot easier to like have to experiment and, you know, learn what works, what you like, what fabrics you enjoy working with, which ones you don't, and all of that I can learn really inexpensively. So this was a dud. Okay, so as I was eating lunch, I just realized there was 2 things that already sold that were from this haul too. So I wanted to just pop those in really quick because that's kind of helpful, just because those are the 2 items that sold the quickest. They were both from Shoes. So Shoes is a great thing, I think, to sell pre-owned and new, because people tend to, well, they always need shoes, and I feel like they don't lowball as much on shoes as maybe in other categories. But regardless, I just loved selling shoes, and I actually picked up a new shoe rack, which I'm going to do in a separate video because this is kind of carried on too long. The first one is this pair of kids boots, and I've never heard of this brand before. It's called Game Winner, but I actually thrifted a pair of these for Nico one year, and then I found this brand again, but in a bigger size, and so I picked them up because I liked how they felt. They were really good. They kept his feet dry, and sure enough, somebody grabbed those. And then the other pair is the Sam Edelman shoes, which, okay, Nico. Hopefully I don't have food in my teeth like the other day.
Yep.
The other day I was brushing his teeth and I had like this black chunk of food in my teeth, and he said, "Your teeth are food hoarders." Okay, getting back on track. The Sam Edelman shoes sold, and these, I just thought these were nice, and they looked like they hadn't been worn, but the biggest flaw was they had permanent marker, black Sharpie marker on the bottom of them, and I didn't know how to get it off without damaging the leather, but I sold them low for that reason. Nico wanted to feature his cookies in this haul. Okay, let's get back to the haul. This is the last fabric, and it has this, it's like a really fun, colorful knit. And I'm finding it's sort of hard for me to work with knits that are more open knit, but this is more of a tightly woven knit, and I think this will be a lot easier for me to work with. So I don't know what I'm going to make with it yet, but I love the fringe on it. I love the colors. It's very bright, fun, unique, so that's perfect. Okay, now getting into the clothing, the rest of the clothing, and we have... This is the little grandma cardigan, and look at the neckline on it. I love that little, it's all over. See on the bottom, I just love that little scalloped detailing all around it. I love the cable knit, the slightly open knit, and of course, the main reason I picked it up is because it is vintage. See the tag? Vintage, made in Korea, and it doesn't have any stains or snags or holes or anything like that. So if I'm getting something like this, I know it's not going to be like a fast sale or anything, but I just really like how these are made, and I feel like it's a classic piece, and eventually somebody will come around and be able to appreciate it. So I love picking up these types of sweaters when I see them. I also pick up grandpa style sweaters too, but those tend to be a little more popular and they don't stick around as long. The 80s were calling. This very much screams 80s to me. I'll have to look into it to see when it was, but there's the tag. Can you see that? Hopefully. Check out the detailing on that. It's not like the plasticky studs either. It's the metal studs, and I just love that. I love it. It's on the cuffs. It's just cool. Okay, my stand just broke and that iPod was acting weird, so let me just finish with my better iPad. Okay, yeah, I do have favorites. Okay, so this is just a vintage sweatshirt. I've been selling vintage sweatshirts for a while. I like the graphic on that one. I feel like it's really Christmassy and just, I don't know, maybe Christmas, fall, winter combo, but I like the Christmas, winter, fall type stuff that you could still like wear other days other than just on the holiday. And I look for this inside vintage sweaters. It's just like that nice, soft, worn-in cotton texture. This doesn't have a size or a label. I know it's vintage. I'll just have to measure it. Okay, this is kind of an exception to one of my rules, which is I never, ever ever sell LuLaRoe. It's a multi-level marketing brand, which is just sleazy, and I don't like multi-level marketing brands. But this dress, like the shimmeriness, like the shimmeriness of it, and then the fact that it's new with tags, which that wasn't really that big of a deal because a lot of them are. But I was just like, you know what? I'm not finding a lot. Like, at this point in the day, I wasn't finding a lot. I was like, let me just look it up and see. And comps for this looked pretty good. It looked like I could sell this for around 45, which is what I hope to get for this. And it's just a really long, like, I picture it for New Year's Eve or like a birthday or something like that. Not a brand I typically pick up. There are exceptions to every rule. Okay, one more I almost forgot, which was this one. We're just going a little bit, trying to get a little more healthy with our recipes. So this kind of intrigued me, and I like to pick up like hardback cookbooks and stuff when I'm out at estates, because I just feel like if it's something that somebody kept for all those years, it probably has some decent recipes. Of course, you can get these in the thrift stores for really cheap too. Like, typically, hardback books are 4 for $1 in my area, or sometimes as low as 10 cents each. And I'm not a bookseller, but I grab these for myself, and I do occasionally sell vintage books. Vintage books are probably just about the only type of book that I enjoy selling. Okay, so I saved a kind of interesting or cool one for the last, which is this pair of vintage Levi's. 2 ways I can tell they're vintage, and the first is not a deal breaker, but if it has an interior label tag, I don't know if you can see that. Let me come closer. How it says made in the USA. If it's made in the USA with an interior label tag, they started putting those tags in the 70s, and they stopped making jeans in the USA sometime in the 2000s. So just made in the USA isn't an indicator of vintage, but it's a good start. Another way that I can verify these are vintage is, okay, can you see where it says right here, made in the USA? Another thing that you want to look for is these little red tabs. If it has the big E, and if it has the big E instead of the lowercase e, these have the lowercase e, it's worth some serious money. There are people that collect these old school Levi's. They like love them. And another thing, this doesn't have a selvage edge. I'll pop in a picture of what selvage edge looks like if you don't know. There's what mine looks like. So upon doing some research, I found that mine were 501s, vintage for sure, and mine are in the 80s era from what I can tell. Possibly the 90s, but more likely the 80s. And there are a little bit of collectors in that genre. They prefer the ones that are made in the 80s to the 90s time frame, just because certain collectors believe that these were the best Levi's denim. There's others that really, really love the selvage edge. And there's just it's just kind of interesting because there's all these like different pockets of collectors on the internet, on eBay, all over the world. And they're interested in things like vintage Levi's denim. So I priced these high because I saw 2 pairs that sold in the $150 to $139 range. So I think I priced mine at $149, and I don't really expect to get that, but I kind of do that when I have something that's a little more unusual than I normally would find. And I'm hoping that somebody comes along that does collect these and they send me an offer and we work out a deal that way. A few things to be maybe aware of if you come across a pair of Levi's is if they have like, okay, how I was showing you this, mine is not the selvage edge because it has that zigzag, you know, it has that more modern stitching there. But you can find selvage edge Levi's, and you can find things like orange tab Levi's. Like these are These are red tab Levi's. They've got that, but you can find some of the salvage Levi's and orange tabs and stuff like that, because they do remakes. So that's the other thing. If you find a cool pair of like vintage Levi's, I think it's worth going down like what I call the research rabbit hole. And so I Google about it, I pop on, I watch YouTube videos about it, which is like all still fresh in my mind. I'm not that well versed in Levi's. What I'm saying is what I learned through my research and YouTube videos and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm just excited. I was excited to find these and to learn more about them. And if I've gotten any of the details wrong, please feel free to correct me if you are like more of a Levi's expert. I would love to learn more about it. But yeah, anyway, so I was excited to find these. And of course, I'll be happy with whatever the turnout is on those. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. And I hope you enjoyed seeing the types of things that I enjoy picking up and mostly selling, but keeping some. And yeah, so if you don't go to estate sales and you don't go to thrift stores, this kind of could give you an idea of the types of things that you may find if you decide to adventure out. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.